Hey everyone, I'm Scott Cunningham, aka Scottsy Business, and today we're going to be talking about true decentralization. And what I mean by that is we're going to be looking at an example on Hive, which is the successor to Steam, which is not really fully decentralized. It used to be, but then they've created Hive from that back in, I believe, February of 2020. And since then, Hive has been the successor to Steam. And Hive has been a perfect example of a fully decentralized social media platform. Another great example is Library, but for this example specifically, we're going to be going through Hive because I believe this example is just a very good way to demonstrate what real decentralization looks like and what censorship resistance really looks like on a social media blockchain integrated platform. So, with that being said, I want to show the example of how someone was blacklisted originally on Steam, and then that came over to Hive as well, because they committed crimes, and naturally they were blacklisted from front-end interfaces. But all that really means is that their content is not shown to average users like you and me on the regular interfaces that we might interact with the blockchain. But that is up to the interfaces themselves, and you or I could create our own interface, which we can see that information, as well as you can explore the blockchain on something like Hive.blocks, or rather, Hiveblocks.com, and you can go through the actual raw data and you can actually read all of the posts that person made. You can see all their comments, all their upvotes, downvotes. The great thing about Hive and Steam is that they're public and everything that you do is available for everyone to see. So this way, with full transparency, we can get around any issues of, someone being censored unfairly or whatever it happens to be, because everyone can make their own judgments and view the same content and then make the decision for themselves if they believe that that was a good decision. And then based on that, you can use various interfaces that maybe you support or don't support based on how they censor or do not censor data. But it is fairly reasonable for them to censor certain things, like people breaking the law or, child pornography, things that are definitely very sensitive. And obviously they do not want on this platform, and no one wants. So naturally that makes sense. But I think this is a good example to show you that, for example, when we look at something that's much less decentralized, like SoMe.social, there was an example where, several months back, they banned someone. I can't remember exactly what it was for. I don't believe it was illegal, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But the main thing that I thought was very interesting, when they did ban this individual, they were fully banned. Like their account they can't log in anymore. And more importantly, their funds that were on the account were taken by SoMe. The same thing essentially happened to Steam, and this is why on Steam we do not consider it decentralized anymore, because they've consolidated so much power on Steam that they were able to go and seize, I believe, 23 million Steam from 60 plus accounts. And that is about as centralized as you can possibly get, right? It's like a bank coming in and just taking your money away, because clearly Steam is not a decentralized platform if someone can just come in and take away your funds. On Hive, they can't do that. They've made sure that that isn't possible, and that's why Hive is a perfect example of true decentralization. So with that explanation, I'd like to actually go through now and show you exactly what I'm talking about. So when we look at the TheDarkOverlord on, let's actually just navigate to their account here. So on Peak D, for example, when we look at their account, you can see everything has been removed, and you can't see anything. And this was way back when this happened on Steam. I believe this happened all back in 2019. But regardless, most interfaces are blocking this information. But this person still is able to, log in. They can still access their wallet. They can still get their funds and everything. If you do something that is bannable, even though, obviously that's pretty bad, they're not going to take away your money and punish you financially, which is very, very important. Which again, going back to my comparison to SoMe, if they decided to ban you for some reason, which again, I don't think it was that person broke any laws, but if they do decide to ban you, they can take your money away as well. And that is very, very concerning and is an example of the opposite, right? That is not decentralized at all if someone can come in and take away your funds. And we have the same thing with Steam, right? So there's a lot of platforms that seem decentralized or mostly decentralized, but once it comes down to the things that actually matter the most, like can they steal your funds? If they can, that's not a fully decentralized platform by any means. So this is what their platform, what their channel looks like. I think there might be some places where you can view it depending on the interface, but most interfaces have opted to blacklist a few users from this list here. So this is the list of people who have committed crimes in their content, whether it's like child pornography or in the example of TheDarkOverlord, they leaked, I guess like illegal documents that were supposed to be redacted, or they were confidential and they're not allowed to be leaked legally about 9/11. And this person posted all this here. So I'm not going to really get into this because I don't know if I can show this, but you can see the content directly on the blockchain when you use something like Hiveblocks.com. So you can see if I go to Hiveblocks.com/@TheDarkOverlord or at any username, you can also look at your own. You can see everything that they ever did in terms of replying to comments, upvotes, downvotes, posts, literally everything. Once you go through here and you just click on one of these hashes, you can read exactly what happens right here. So when I scrolled through the list and I found where he'd posted the this post here, and then I click on the hash and then it shows me the entirety of the post and all the comments and everything related. So the good thing here is that you can still see, if you really, really want to, you can still see everything that is on the blockchain. It's immutable, truly. People cannot take this away. They can opt in for these platforms, these front ends. So again, if you're unaware of how this works, interfaces or like front ends of on Steam or Hive or even something like Library, you can have all these different ways to access the base platform, but the network, the blockchain itself, is like the bottom platform, and then the interfaces are built on top of it, meaning that everything that's on the blockchain is on the blockchain, and then these interfaces are just how you see it. So there's many, many different places where you can access Hive and look at different accounts and see what's there. And all those interfaces are run by different people, and they can all have different filters and things, but everything at the end of the day is still on the blockchain. So for example, when I use something like ThreeSpeak, it is a interface for Hive. Oh, they switched it to threespeak.co, by the way. It's an interface for Hive, but the filter is that they're only showing you videos. But everything is still on the blockchain, right? And then we were just on PeakD. So if we go and look at Hive.blog, this is just another interface for the Hive blockchain. And you could keep going through all these different interfaces. There's so many out there. But I believe here on Hive.blog, they've actually completely erased the access to the TheDarkOverlord. Let's just double check that. Yeah, so you can see there's definitely varying degrees of access, right? So if you were the TheDarkOverlord and you tried to log in on Hive.blog, it probably wouldn't work. But if you did it on PeakD or something, it probably would work. You can still access your funds. Anyone can still see the actual data. The only real thing is that there's just this blacklist that various platforms and instances can use if they want to But generally they do want to, because these people have broken the law and that could be bad for them to be hosting their content. However, it's still on the blockchain. It's still out there. It's just whether or not they choose to display it. So it's more of a concern of just hiding the data, obfuscation, sort of censorship, because you can still see the data and you can still see it if you really want to. It's not fully censored. It's just partial censorship. And they're not going to block your access to your account or your funds. So the worst thing that can happen is that most platforms can blacklist you, but that's about as bad as it can get. You still have access to your funds. You can still get to everything that you need to. And if people really want to see your content, they still can. And you can also create your own interface without these restrictions if you were, technically adept and able to do that. So this is just what I wanted to cover. And it really just shows how decentralized a real decentralized platform is, right? You cannot be removed from this platform. And I keep comparing it to SoMe, not to really throw shade at SoMe, but more so because I know that SoMe isn't a fully decentralized platform. And it really shows you the difference, right? Because I've always complained that I don't like that they can block access to your funds, and they can, you have to pay to verify all this different crazy stuff on SoMe. So that all kind of goes hand in hand, right? They do the same thing when it comes to moderation and censorship and taking away people's funds. And then when you look at Hive, truly decentralized, they only have optional blacklists for platforms to have, but you can still see the information. You can still access everything. Basically saying that if you were to get blacklisted on Hive, you're not going to lose all your money. And that is a big deal. That is very important for a lot of people, that at the very least, they can't mess with your finances. They might be able to censor your account, but they can't mess with your finances. And while this isn't perfect, this isn't censorship proof. It's very censorship resistant. And that is what we want to aim for. This is a golden standard for other blockchains to follow. If you want to go and look at anything for anyone's account, or look at what they've been doing activity wise, or even look at your own, you can do that on Hiveblocks.com. And I don't know which interfaces allow you to just see everything raw, but I would say probably most don't, and most use these blacklists. Luckily, this blacklist is so small that it's not really going to be an issue, and hopefully it stays small. I also just had this talking about this when it originally happened, because this happened back in 2019 on Steam and Steam It, and then a lot of this stuff transferred over when there was the hard fork, and we created Hive back in February. I believe it was February. So yeah, that's just my take on this. I just wanted to share this because, again, I think this is a perfect way to highlight how effective decentralization can be, and show people that on something like Hive or Library, you don't have to be concerned about, losing access to your funds or having your content completely removed. While you still can be, censored in a very light way, it's really only happening to people who break the law. So for the most part, you should never really have to have any concern about this when you're using truly decentralized platforms. And with that being said, that's everything for today. Let me know, do you guys use Hive? Do you support platforms that aren't fully decentralized? What platforms do you think are fully decentralized? Because I only know of a couple that are really 100% decentralized. How important is decentralized or something being centralized to you as a user and as a creator? Let me know all that good stuff below. Are you a Hive user? Are you a Library user? Where do you like to do social media when it comes to blockchain and crypto monetization? Let me know all of that good stuff in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I'm Scott Cunningham, aka Scottsy Business, signing off. Cheers.